Hello, everybody. This is Havoc, and I am finally back in Prehistoric Kingdom. For those of you who have been following the series, I do apologize for the delay. It's been 2 months to the day since I last was able to record something for this, at least in a positive manner. Long story short, what had happened is that some of our exhibits, especially ones featuring carnivores, had a severely negative exhibit score, and it was tanking, absolutely tanking my park score, and thus I was losing a lot of money. Now with update 8, we actually have a lot of positive change in many ways, but also some this isn't quite so many great things. Regardless, the point is that the exhibit scores are fixed, at least from the issues that I had, and that means that we can continue the park and go alongside Prehistoric Kingdom as it continues to update and evolve. So for those of you out there who are wondering, that's what happened, and we have a lot to address. So we're going to spend a little bit of time today looking at the update, just a smidgen, and then we're going to see what we can do to improve our park even further. So you'll notice that my park's at 2.5 stars. That's not that great. However, regarding our finances, we are finally in the net positive, which is pretty much where we were before the stream hit. And you can actually see, you can actually see at what point, at what point our, I can't go back, dang it, but you would be able to see where we were hemorrhaging money really badly. But there's, again, a lot of positive changes going on everywhere. We just have to basically kind of adapt to how things are. One thing that hasn't changed and probably never will is the fact that our Coelophysis are still continuing to leave the exhibit. Now, what we may have to do here, we may have to actually bump up the size for now. This is going to be my solution for a little bit, because we basically the new animations, while they aren't bad, I am getting more and more dinosaurs leaving their exhibit. So that's obviously not good for us. And to be quite frank, I am absolutely exhausted of dinosaurs getting and leaving their exhibits. So now that is still an animation thing. We'll get to that in just a tiny bit, but I think basically what just has to be done is we just have to do this. It doesn't look as fantastic. I love having the smaller exhibit spaces, but we just have to. We just have to, because it's not just annoying. It prevents me from being able to build a park that I really enjoy, because I constantly have to worry about stuff being out. So there we go. Congratulations, all you dinos. That's how it's going. Now let's get these guys places real quick. And there is still the thing where I still can't find dinosaurs. For instance, we look at Xanadu. I hit that button and I can't find her, so I have no idea where she is, and that's a little bit frustrating, because she's not in the best of health, and she's not going to be, basically. All right, so another thing, welfare among certain dinosaurs is very strange and does not seem functioning in this new update, which sucks, because I don't really know how else to address it. Now we could go into here, for instance, get our mini aviary, and I'm wondering if we don't need some form of water or food here. Now, from an environment standpoint and an aviary standpoint, I don't know, maybe I can sell some of these little boogers, but I also don't know how to sell these little boogers without selling the whole thing, because it doesn't really give me the capacity to do so. So that's another thing, which is a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Now, hopefully that's not bringing my park down, because there's nothing I can do about that. And one of the bigger updates that this is where I don't necessarily agree with what's going on, is that all of your dinos, yep, they have new animations, now have to need water. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In the previous updates, it allowed us to just build, and I don't even know where it is. Here we go. It's not a bad thing. But what's frustrating is when I build my exhibits full of water and it doesn't count. So if I read the update correctly, and I would like to think that I have read it correctly, it basically is just saying that, oh my word, no, that they have to have it. So we basically have to go throughout all of our exhibits and add them for all of our dinosaurs. So that's a little frustrating, because like I love building these types of exhibits, and it does mean that I do believe that certain dinosaurs now no longer need certain water requirements, which is convenient. I understand that mechanic, but at the same time, I want to be able to. Why are you saying that? You have access, and now of course, you know, I'm sure I could split from the group or something and try and take the water faucets off, but hopefully that does solve the water issue that we were experiencing when I first was able to test this and boot it back up. So there's that aspect. That's one of the bigger things, is that water troughs are now a thing, in which it's a requirement in order to fulfill these boyos and their needs. Now it does fill that right up, so that's a positive thing. We're in the positive there. Speaking of this, we're going to address this, which I really don't agree. So animal welfare here. My animal rating is at 960, which is good. But there's a species repetition issue. Because I think it's even 2 of the same species, I get a negative species score. Now, I don't agree with this, because, well, you need the same species. And so, I mean, especially if you want a large herd, I don't know how they approach this. Whew. Yeah, we spent some money. But I don't know how they approach this. I don't know how you can say, hey, you're going to have a big giant pack of Dryasauruses, which is what they do. And this is, you know, from records, it says they were herd animals. And, well, you can't have more than 2 of a single species. How does that work? And especially for earlier parks who want to diversify quickly. How does that work, and how is that okay? So I don't agree with that, and hopefully they'll tweak that and modify it to apply to maybe per dinosaur type inside of a single enclosure. But so we have, here's what I'm going to have to do in the meantime. Now you can sell dinosaurs now, and it does actually sell them, which is awesome, because now it's no longer just me sniping dinosaurs and saying, all right, well, see you later, you're dead. And there we go. So we're at a D now. But again, the more we sell, our penalty goes down, but also our animal rating overall. So I don't enjoy it. I don't think it's right. I don't like that mechanic. One single bit. Not one single bit. But the good news is, as I mentioned here, your animal ratings, especially for our Tarbosaurs, excuse me. Look at this boy chowing down on a bloody pumpkin. Brilliant. It has gone up, and that's what we needed. So the crowding here is the issue. I don't think anything would solve that. Let's just. I just think they want to be a singular dinosaur per.
Take a good look at those arms. Each arm is a meter long, can hold almost 200 kilos, and ends in razor-sharp claws. Far from the wimpy little stubs most of the public makes them out to be.
Right, Nigel. It's absolutely freaking terrifying. Thank you for reminding me. So we're just gonna. This is the things that we have to do to now adjust to the new settings, which is always fine. I don't have issues adjusting the new updates, as long as I feel like they make sense. Cool. There we go. That did something. Crowding's no longer the issue. And now we're at an A, which should increase our park rating. There we go. Awesome. So it's just things that we have to adjust to now. Because, for instance, a little bit of a penalty here. Although I don't think that it should be a B. Because, I mean, goodness gracious. Is this going up? Is our score going up? So, like, this doesn't make sense. So there's other factors at play that they aren't letting us know about per se, and it may be that they are figuring it out. I don't think they're deceptively, purposefully being deceptive, but oh no, that's not termite mounts that I want to do. These broskies just poop so darn much. And we just need to add lots of pooping areas. And so that's the next big thing, is that we have scores now that are a little more reflective, and we'll see some penalties, as you can see here, of what we can and can't do. So we're going to have to reformat some of our exhibits because they require them, basically. 5. We're also going to have several Fs. It's going to bring down our score, etc., etc. Now, overall, it's not too terrible. It's stuff that we can adjust to, so I have no issues with it. The next thing that we're going to address is beautification. So if we go here, we can see our, actually, no, that's not it. Nope, this is it. Park beauty, there we go. So expand and maintain the park to increase its beauty within the reach of guest divisions, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And we'll see that certain things enhance park beauty. These are things, or I guess decrease first. And those are going to be things like, unsightly generators, things of that nature. And then we can upgrade our beauty by, having decorated buildings, building some garden spaces, and high scoring habitats are always going to be a big factor. But even then, like, this is a high scoring habitat and it's not really contributing. But you can see here, these guys are officially causing issues. Now, we can do this by simply building stuff around it so people can't see. Which, I mean, at this point we could do... They're just so unsightly. But also have to have, form and function together. So we may not be able to even do that. We may have to surround it by rocks. Now that's unbelievably unsightly. I will say that. Like, that looks terrible. It's just a big freaking donut. But the real question is, does it solve the issue? It's interesting because it doesn't. And so I'm wondering what we actually need to do. Because I can't build stuff like that. Ideally, we just remove them. And so maybe that's what we have to end up. Now, that shouldn't be a problem. If we look at over at our zoning, we have plenty over here. So I don't think, assuming it's just these two. Okay, so I actually do have a little bit of an area that wouldn't. Okay, so we have to figure out what we need to do. Because even like generators and stuff are starting to have that negative effect. So we want to make sure that everyone has access. So if we were to do this, we're going to miss a few. Does that increase our park beauty is one of the bigger things though. That at least doesn't contribute negatively. So then what we need to do is we need to figure out how we can do this and hide it. Because now it's causing a big negative. And we can hide this a little bit better because we can totally I hate slapping up a big giant wall. It really is just ungainly. Let's see what a modern wall does. And then what if we hide it with some dense vegetation? This stuff is going to be wetland. And so if we were to go into the... We'll go into wetland reeds. We'll make sure that we don't select any of the big trees. We're going to have just a stupidly high density. I mean, honestly, that's what we can do too, is we can simply hide it behind a bunch of these very, very dense, but ultimately really still awesome pieces of vegetation. Select all, please. Except for you big boys. I mean, we can even do the same here, just so it looks a little more consistent. And then in theory, they're not going to be able to see it, although they still do. So it needs some tweaking, without a doubt, because, like, no one's going to be able to see that. Let's face it. So there needs to be a system in which it's very obviously cleared out. You might be able to see that. So if we were to go, okay, if you're going to play like that game, and we could easily just go, boom. No one's seeing that. No one is seeing that generator, but it's still causing a huge negative. So it's just it's a give and take. This is obviously not even the actual update. Should probably have caveated that from the very get-go. This isn't the full update. This is the public test. So this is a good range of motion. Now, all that aside, the point is the park is up and running, and we are doing financially quite swimmingly well. You move this. There we go. And so that's going to allow us to come back to this regularly and do all the things that we need it to do. Now, one thing that also isn't working in this public beta is that donations aren't happening. They just aren't. I don't know why they're not happening. I don't know what it takes to get them to work, but that's something we can deal with. Now, in terms of our next exhibit, we need to go to our there. We're still working on our coastal region. And so we do have the availability of all of these dinos. Now, some of them may not really like stuff, may not really like it at all. What we need to do is have dinosaurs of similar format be together. So for instance, water 10 to 40%, forest 20 to 50. What other dinosaurs have that? We have our Edmontosauruses, which still fit in that range. Now that's close. If you'll go back to our Styracosaurus, it's 20 to 50, 10 to 40. Edmontosaurus would fit right in there, which is great. We could have them together. We could have some Coelophysis in here, although they take probably the maximum amount of water in order to do that, but that's okay. So we could easily do a little bit of a spreadsheet, as it were, and figure out kind of the min-max opportunity here that would allow all of these dinosaurs, all of these very different creatures to come together and live under a single area together. Now, that's going to be tricky. It's not going to be super easy, but I think allowing us to like get our Dryosaurus. Come on, man. Come on. I need your water to be higher, because go back to here. They start at 30 and you end at 30. So a Dryosaurus wouldn't be able to come in here. But we can still do our Sceliosauruses, and I think actually we have some pretty large diversity in this exhibit already. It's not going to let me know. What is this, enclosure 6? So enclosure 6 actually does address all of that already, minus some of the three-horned or our horned brethren over here, like our Styracosaurus. He doesn't really belong in there per se. So we have some solutions. So we could take a small wee break from our coastal, because we kind of min-maxed it out in a way. And we could aim for another larger desert biome. Because if we'll look over here, that's really cool. There we go. we do have quite a few dinosaurs. So, wow, dinosaurs that could work together in a desert biome. And in fact, this is probably where we will be. 30%. Yeah, they have the same amount. Actually, they start at 45, so that probably wouldn't work, right? No, that's definitely. And then a proto. Yeah, water wouldn't be that great, because I think some of these guys. Okay, no, so this would work. So we could definitely do a combination of some Coelophysis and some Protoceratops, a Dryosaurus, and a Psittacosaurus. Now, mind you, we would probably want some, you know, there we go. We would have to be specific in our dinosaurs, for sure. But I think this would be a cool exhibit, and this is where we kind of have to juggle, you know, the mechanics of the game with everything else, because, well, we need to be able to we need more unique species, basically. But I can't get more unique species until my rating goes up. So there's kind of a blend here of my availability and what dinosaurs that I can use based on, you know, everything that I have done thus far. So it's kind of a catch-22. So we just need to diversify where our dinosaurs are, which isn't a problem. We can totally and easily do that, I feel. So it's not a huge deal. I'm not upset at all. I don't know why it would be. And we can definitely even put some of our larger dinos together. Why do we have two different Tarbosaurs? And the same, okay, that's tropical and wetland. Never mind. So that's what I think we're gonna do. We're gonna build a new desert exhibit that perhaps wraps around here. And it's going to allow for basically a larger biome. Actually, these guys probably would only need like this space because they are all rather small dinosaurs. So it's something we'll have to keep in mind. But I think Timeline Havoc is going to come in and he's gonna have some fun as he explains what we're gonna do with our desert. And hello everybody, Timeline Havoc back in session. I'm super excited about this exhibit, as I always am. I've never been really disappointed with an exhibit before. But we're going to work on a new wrapping around the lake exhibit, because that's kind of where we're going forward. Now I know I did this with my Tarbosaurus in terms of building like a plateau, but I really think considering the desert landscape, we kind of have those plateaus that happen naturally. So it seemed like a good fit. I'm not going to be doing this consistently throughout everything, but it is what it is. It's going to happen. Now, we're also means we're going to have to expand our actual desert exhibit a lot wider and further back. So what's going to happen is that our wetland exhibit is going to be a little more scrunched. It'll just be more long and narrow, where other exhibits are further out, expansive. We'll see if that goes anywhere in the future. Now, I will say that considering that the new update tackles no more minimum size for enclosures, but rather focuses on, well, it focuses on spacing and crowding, that this exhibit is way too large for what we are going to be using. However, I built this purposefully large. I think by the end, it'll be close to 10,000 square meters. I built it purposefully large because I'm going to assume that they're going to push back the species repetition. If they don't, then that's kind of a deal breaker. But I plan and anticipate on having this be a very large species group, like a large pack, kind of like, you know, savanna type deal, but for this desert. So we're going to have lots of creatures, hopefully, in here. But back to this. So one of the things that I almost did is I almost did pull a Tarbosaurus exhibit and put waterfalls in here. But this is a desert biome, and I wanted to keep it desert. Normally, I have the oasis and the previous desert things. I have ways for them to have water, etc. But since we now have the water troughs, no water is going to be in this exhibit. And I think that's okay. I haven't seen anyone complain or anything like that. The troughs themselves provide the water requirement that they need, so it doesn't have any issues. And then of course we're just diversifying the landscape a little bit. Adding in some actual rock texture around where the rocks are going to be is pretty crucial. Now I did go rock with just the bushland and the, I don't remember what the other ones. But we're going to find out that's going to be way too much. These guys want next to no vegetation, which is fine. And so this was a very, very quick build. There wasn't a lot to it. We added, since we have our widest range of dinosaurs in here, I think. They're all small, but still the widest range, that we're going to have troughs and feeders of every type almost, because that will be necessary. And then what we'll probably end up doing in the next episode anyways is adding more of these big rock structures. You kind of put up the landscape a little bit so it's not so bare. I love rocks. I think you figured that out by now. I absolutely adore rock formations. I don't know why. I really couldn't tell you what it is about rock formations, but they do look so fantastic in this game. So I have to applaud the team for doing that there. Overall, this was a very, very quick build, as I mentioned before. We'll figure out some platforms. You see that going on there. We're going to do some basic viewing areas for the time being, figure out our electrical structure based on the beauty things and beauty standards. But overall, I think it'll work. I think it'll look great. I think the guests will enjoy it once we figure out the species repetition issue, which you're going to see in great detail here. As you'll notice, I want you to keep an eye on the almost 3 stars the park is now versus what it ends up being by the end of the episode. I think species repetition is stupid. I won't say stupid, that's really harsh. I don't agree with it in any way, shape, or form in terms of how they've implemented it in this game so far. And I hope by update 8, when it really rolls out, that we'll be able to justify it and do it justice. That's all for me though. I'm rambling. I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we get to see just how things are. And as I figured, we were gonna have way too much. Yep, I don't really enjoy the thing that just happened there. Happens way too much with all the new creatures, and it's not something that I enjoy. All right, so we basically kind of need to, let's just remove all of these trees. Anyways, and we may have ourselves just a very bare area here. We may just do some cacti instead. They don't expect much, which, to be honest, is perfectly fine with me. Really don't mind it. We just have to make sure we stay in the right levels, while still not making it look barren. And we may add a lot more rocks in here, because, well, that looks like it satisfies everyone. Does it really? Let's look at our park. Is that an F? Okay, so this is what I mean. I only have, we're at a rating of F because we don't have great creatures, but our species repetition. This is where things get really, I won't say ugly. It's not like I'm Psittacosaurus and our Psittacosaurus. So we have, the kicker is that like our Psittacosaurus specifically, they don't have another desert biome minded creature. So I can't do that. I can't just release 2 of them. Protoceratops Andrewsi. There are the 2 Andrewsi. They are all the same. Well, regardless, let's see. Let's do that and see if the species repetition. Okay, I only have 2 of each dinosaur species that is viable for this area, and it's telling me now that we have problems. And so that's where I don't agree with. And so I hope it gets fixed in the near future. Where are you at? Why are you way out of there? But I do hope that it gets fixed, because that's a problem. It's a huge problem for me. And it's a huge problem because if I can't have more than 2 of the same dinosaur in a you know, an exhibit, then we have a major issue with diversity. And subsequently, vis-a-vis, concordingly, I can't get my park to a high enough level to be able to sustain and grow new species. Now, please don't fall off. I beg of you. Please don't fall off of it. But so that's just a really interesting space that we're in right now, because I can't do anything about what is going on. And so it's a bit frustrating. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit frustrated and a little bit, you know, a little peeved. I'm not going to lie, because I can't function. There's nothing that I can Simply because the way that the game has its functionalities right now, it's just not something that is available to it. But one thing that I will say is I don't mind having this big giant tropical. Like, I think it looks really, really cool. Admittedly, it doesn't fit. We may change it in the future. But if you'll notice, it does tend to really bring in the beauty, as it were. It's able to kind of suck that stuff in. So that's basically just what we have to do. We have to force ourselves to really just like forcibly pay that, so that way it can suppress some of the darker areas, quote unquote darker areas of our park. See, like for instance, this isn't going to. We may have to, like, I don't know, go in here. We're gonna go with, this isn't scrubland. This isn't wetland either. It's desert oasis. Like, we may just have to make an intense little section here to try and, you know, mitigate the damage that does to our park beauty. I can't even see guest vision yet. So again, this is a work in progress. We may come back to this frequently. Hopefully the actual update goes out pretty soon, because I really, really, really want to continue this park, and I think that it's fair that I should be able to. Without much issue. So, this is a bit of a shorter episode because we are having to deal kind of with the fallout of a animal diversity. This is just, I don't understand the animal diversity. You basically say that you can't have multiple species because the species repetition, and yet you want animal diversity. And so, by default, you've screwed yourself over. Try this for the billionth time. You've kind of screwed yourself over because you can't promote diversity when you have species repetition. And especially when those species repetition are only 2 of the same species. So, it's just an interesting conundrum that that Prehistoric Kingdom is in. So what I'm going to do is, this is the episode that comes out, obviously it came out today. However, I want to mention that we may not come back to it until the update is fully out, simply because there's no purpose in me coming back if I keep tanking. Everything that's going on. So you can see, yeah, it's I mean, admittedly I did spend some, but it's just causing some further issues. So we kind of found our happy spot. I'm happy with this, absolutely. In terms of its needs, it's doing what it's supposed to do. 1000%. Everyone is very happy here. Outside of needing some water, but you do that yourself. And so it's just a matter of getting things and getting the park in terms of the game itself up to where we could definitely expand here. And in fact, we'll add some viewing platforms up high. Maybe, I don't think we need a small or a big restaurant area. We may do a little small restaurant area just so we can have some fun with that. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the return as well. I would love to come back to this series consistently. Again, it just is very much dependent on the team, who have done a great job. I'm not here to diss the team at all. It's not conducive to a Let's Play series at the moment, and that's okay. You don't have to cater content creators. But guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. You know all the things to do to support the channel as well. If you don't, well, those things are things like subscribing to the channel, becoming a YouTube member by financially supporting it, and never ever expected, and then giving it a like, commenting down below. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me again in Prehistoric Preserve. This is Havoc.
These are nature's greatest creations. This is your park. This is Prehistoric Kingdom.